Well, howdy there. My name is Janaki, and if you look down here, this is Bathsheba. She's the cat in Catamancy, and together we are Catamancy Tarot. Today I thought I would take a crack at filming a first YouTube video, which I know is always kind of an awkward start, but you gotta start somewhere, so here we go. I thought this would be a good tag to start with. This is the tag #TarotNerd from Mags Black, who I adore. And I thought it would be a good one to start with because I'm a tarot nerd, and I thought it would be a good way to introduce myself as a tarot nerd. So a little bit about myself before I jump in with her little prompts. So I am currently a graduate student in anthropology here at the University of Michigan, and I'm currently working on my dissertation thesis on contemporary tarot practice in the United States and in India. It's a bit of a comparative project. So I have been watching YouTube videos about tarot sort of full-time for a couple of years for my research project, and it's so fun. And sometimes I just want to join in, and I've wanted to join in for a while, so this is me taking a bit of a plunge. And so with this channel, I thought it would be a good thing to do while I'm working on my research. It's a way to kind of engage with you all, to talk through some of the things I've been thinking about, to share, if you guys are interested, later on I'd love to talk a little bit more about my research and how things are going with that. But today I just thought, let's get started with some tarot nerd stuff. So her first prompt is, which tarot deck offers you endless interest or study opportunities? And I've got a couple here. So my first deck is one that's very, very dear to my heart. It's called the Chasm Lar Tarot. And so the edition I have is in this like super 90s like DVD box, like plastic container, which I kind of love. And I was able to find this copy after like years of looking for this deck, but alas, it's the German edition. So I have the guidebook, but it's in German. And so as I've been doing this thing, this is a kind of a tarot nerd thing where I've been with my with Google Translate these days, you can take a picture of the text and they'll instantly translate it to English. So I've been very slowly going through and translating this guidebook into English. I know they're about to release, or maybe they have released, an English edition for the new deck, which I've looked at, but they have black borders, which I'm not sure if I'm into, and it's still like super expensive. And I know Dr. Emil Kazanlar passed away earlier this year. But one of the things I really love about this deck is how sort of multicultural it is. And Emil Kazanlar is someone who I believe is born in Iran and lived in Hungary, and so he's someone who himself straddles a lot of different cultures, and the images here are sort of in this Persian miniature painting style, which I really love. And so the other thing about this deck is if you go through, each of the 4 suits are kind of represented by a different time and space. And so the suit of wands, you have South Asian mythology. And one thing about Dr. Kazanlar's representation of South Asian mythology is that you even get, like for the King of Wands, you have Shah Jahan, who is the Mughal ruler who like built the Taj Mahal. So you don't get, in a lot of contemporary decks, when you're getting South Asian imagery, it's usually mostly Hindu, so to have some kind of Mughal or Muslim mixture in there is really exciting to see as well. And then you get The suit I know least about is the Hungarian suit, the suit of cups. And then you get ancient Egypt. And finally, you have the suit of coins, which are based on the Shahnameh and a few other Persian and Arabic folklore. And so this is a deck that I've really been slowly working my way through with my weird guidebook project. But it's something that's sort of very close to my heart. As someone who works on tarot in South Asia, like it's a really important deck for me. And it's important also because it's a deck that some of the readers I work with in LA use. So I'm very excited to, like, it took me years to track down, but I found it, and it's one that I'm sure I'm going to be able to return to. The other deck I have is my newest deck. It arrived in the mail just a few days ago from South Africa, and that is the Mysteries of Mary Tarot by Hettienne Grobler. And so I haven't even dipped into this deck yet, but I know it's going to be one that's going to have a lot to sort of sink my teeth into. I love this because each of the cards are, what the artist did is she's made these little miniature shadow box sort of altar shrines and photographed them. And her guidebook is very, very thoughtful, and she's someone who's been on a lot of these pilgrimages, and yeah, there's a lot there. So those are two decks, two of my deep study decks. I would also say I'm always learning with the Tarot of Marseille. I picked that one up for the first time last year, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and I feel like that's another one where it's just, deep dive after deep dive kind of thing. So let's see here. The next prompt is, which tarot decks hit or miss your cardstock spot and why? So for me, I'm fairly easy when it comes to cardstock. Like it's never been, I'm actually not that picky. So I like when cards actually feel like cards and you can shuffle them and use them as a deck. When they get a little bit too big or thick or unwieldy, that's when I tend to have more problems. So I thought I would show like a few, instead of showing good cardstock, I'd show you my least favorites. One of them, and this might be a little controversial, is because I know everyone loves linen cardstock, but I don't think it's always the best call. So this is the Tarot of the Drowning World, which came out this year. I kickstarted it last year. I was really excited. During the pandemic, they were showing pictures of them shooting this art in their backyard, and it's a photographic deck, and the artwork is really stunning, but the cards are kind of huge, and because it's got this linen finish, the cards are just like very unwieldy and very, it's appropriate because it looks like water on the back, but what I don't like is the way the texture reads with the photograph. When I'm looking at the photograph, like, I don't know if my camera's gonna pick it up, but the linen finish gives the photograph a little bit of a like a textured, sort of like pixelated feel, and I feel like it detracts from the artwork. And also because there's no way you can like riffle shuffle this deck. So like the whole point of a linen finish is to be able to riffle shuffle really well, and because you can't do that, it just makes it even more slippery and unwieldy to overhand shuffle. So I don't know, that's a little pet peeve of mine. I don't have any other photographic decks with the linen finish, but I feel like it detracts from the imagery. My other thing that I don't like with cardstock is when the cards feel really plasticky. I know some people like plastic cards. I don't have any plastic cards, but I think they might be fun to work with. But I'm talking about, this is one deck that I have, the Dream Dust Shamanic Tarot. It's like super, super shiny, and it just feels like the finish of it just feels really plasticky. And then it's got gilding, which I feel like is sort of coming off because of how weird and plasticky the cards are. So that's another thing that I don't love, is when it's too high gloss to the point of feeling plasticky. I don't hate rose petal. I don't hate it. I know a lot of people do, but I guess those are my cardstock pet peeves. The next question, number 3, is, does size matter? Favorite shape and sizes of decks, smallest deck, largest deck. So I'll start with my smallest deck. We'll work our way up. So my smallest deck is actually I trimmed my Barbara Walker, which is tarot in a tin. So it's originally poker size, but another one of my pet peeves is when there's just like a white border around the backs of the cards. I don't mind a border on the front of the cards, but like for some reason having that white like stripe around the back just really bugs me. So I trimmed them off and edged it in black, and I think it came out really, I love it. This is one of probably like one of my top faves is the Barbara Walker. But it you know, trimming it has made it quite small. But it's a goodie. And so if that's my smallest deck, then my largest deck, are you ready? This is the Draxiotos Tarot by Greg Traw in Portland. And so this is a very large deck. So in comparison here, so if this is this is Barbara Walker in comparison. So it's easily, you know, almost, you know, 4 times the size. And so these cards are so large as to like, you know, they're not really shuffleable. I use them solely in altar work. They're also really, it's a collage deck, and I'm a big fan of collage deck. It's also a very esoteric deck. It doesn't have titles, but it's color coded, and it does have numbers. So here we're looking at the Suit of Pentacles. And so with you know, the intricacy of this collage, like I understand why this deck is so huge. And they work really well as altar cards. So across every new moon phase, I'll change out the background of my altar. So I'll draw 6 cards, and they sort of fit perfectly as a panel on my altar. And I feel like it brings color and interest into my home. So I love that deck. It's a good one. And in terms of my favorite size, I have a favorite size, and my favorite size is cards that are, I believe it's, now I'm going to get the number wrong. I think it's 3.5 inch by 5. So this is the Vitriolic Tarot by Coleman Stevenson at the Dark Exact. And this size I feel is perfect because you can still shuffle lengthwise. You can riffle shuffle lengthwise, but it's a little bit bigger, so you can see the art a little bit better. Another deck that just came out that is also this size, that I was really excited that it came out, and it's like my favorite art style, and it's also my favorite size, is the Ritual Tarot by Tira May. So this is another deck that's sort of my sweet spot for sort of tarot size. And I'm also, over the past year, I've been working on an oracle deck of my own, and so that's the size I'm aiming for. The deck I'm making is I've been working on it the last couple days, so I haven't printed this one yet, but it's I've been doing lino cut and then watercolor on top. So this is a bit of a weird card, but I'm into it. This is the clogged drain. So this is the plate of linoleum that I carved up yesterday, and after I finish this video, I'm gonna print it and paint it and see what it looks like. So excited for that. So that's my favorite tarot dimension. The next question, let me just pull it up here, is there a favorite tarot artist, author, creator, or publisher that you enjoy the most or collect, and why? So I've looked through my tarot collection, and it looks like there's only 2 artists that I have multiples of. The first creator is Mary Evans from Spirit Speaks. I love her Road to Nowhere oracle deck. It's one of my favorite oracle decks. I also have the Apparition Tarot and her Spirit Speak Tarot. So I have 3 decks of hers, and then I also have, the other person I have multiples from is from, as I just mentioned, Coleman from the Dark Exact. I have her Vitriolic Tarot and her Personal Oracle, and I have her Personal Oracle in, I have the first edition, and then this is the second edition in a slightly larger size. And I find using her decks together is really great. They work really well together. They were sort of designed to work together. I'm a sucker for a poppy. I love to see a good poppy in a deck. And then question 5, any favorite art styles or themes? So as you may have already noticed, I'm a really big fan of collage decks. The first indie tarot deck I ever got, and I got this back in, I think, 2018, is the Spolia Tarot. And this, you've all seen this one. It's been around for a while. It's also out of print, which is a tragedy, because I want 1 million copies of this so it'll last forever. But one thing I will say, since the cardstock is so thick, I've used this so much and it's held up really well. So a lot of people have, it is a bit of a brick, and this is it without those extra cards thrown in. But it's very near and dear to me. If I had a top single deck ever, this would easily be the one. And so there's something about collage where what you're looking at is there's a little bit more ambiguity to the image, which I really like. There's also opportunities to like mash up symbols to kind of and there, there's also opportunities for different uses of color. There's something about it that I really like. So I have probably about a dozen or so collage decks. My newest collage deck is, of course, the Ritual Tarot, which I just mentioned. I went through a little bit of an ordeal with this deck. The first copy that I got was stolen from my porch, and I searched my neighborhood for it, and I found the box that it came in, and it was like ripped open, and I was holding onto the box, and I walked around my block, and a block over I found one of her like business cards on someone's lawn, and I just searched my neighborhood, and it's gone. So someone out there has a copy of this deck. And it's a very magical object, and like that can't be good juju, like stealing a magical object like that. I don't know, but Tierra May, the creator, was so generous, and luckily the package was insured, and she sent me another copy, and I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, it was an ordeal. um, so in addition to collage decks, I'm into like abstract decks. Like I mentioned, I like a little bit of ambiguity in my tarot art. Um, I'm a fan of vintage or esoteric decks. I'm also a little bit of a tarot historian, so I like decks that are sort of engaging with sort of the history of tarot in different ways. So I have, quite a few like historical or vintagey decks as well. And then question number 6, in what ways are you a tarot nerd or a geek with tarot cards, bumper stickers, branded clothing, jewelry, tattoos, deck collections, artwork? So, I am a deck collector. I think my biggest tarot nerd card is like I'm doing my PhD on tarot. Like I don't know if there's like a bigger way for me to express my tarot nerddom than that. And so the story with how I got into doing research on tarot, sort of academically, is as an anthropologist, I was trained to do anthropology of religion, and my focus is South Asia, so I work in India. And my original dissertation topic was actually very different. I was working on a project around everyday interactions with ghosts and spirits in North India, in Himachal Pradesh. And I was actually over there before the pandemic started, and 4 months into my dissertation research, into my fieldwork, the pandemic happened and lockdown happened, and I got stuck over there for about 5 months. And what anthropological research looks like is, you go hang out with people and you learn about their daily life. You learn through doing, by hanging out, and that's exactly the kind of things that you're not allowed to do during the during the pandemic. So I had to come back to the US and do a really big rethink. And during graduate school, I had sort of, I got my first tarot deck probably when I was like 15, but I was already sort of keyed into what was going on in the sort of digital tarot space on YouTube and Instagram and all of these things. So I thought there might be something there, and so I pivoted to doing work on tarot. And so I've been lucky enough to kind of get some research grants, and this summer I'm going to be going to Mumbai to sort of work with some tarot readers there, and I'm really excited. But yeah, that's my biggest tarot nerd card. Other than that, I'm wearing my tarot earrings for you guys. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but if you look on there, you can kind of see embossed is the Tudor Rose from the Death card. I'm a Scorpio rising, and so I feel like these are appropriate. I have in terms of artwork, when Spolia, when they were shutting down their online shop, they were doing a sale of prints. So I have a print of the Death card, and if Tierra May ever releases prints, I need to have a copy of this card, which is the Lovers, which is one of my favorite Lovers cards ever. I just think it's awesome. So I do have some prints. I don't have tattoos, but I want them. I mean, I do have tattoos, but I don't have a tarot tattoo yet. But if I did get one, I know exactly what I want. I want kind of the the outline of the Wheel of Fortune from the Rider-Waite Smith, and then I want some like kooky critters all around it. And my favorite kooky critters come from this deck, which is the Igorov Tarot from Piatnik. And I think they've just got some very, like, look at this guy. Look how whimsical. Look at that. Is that a horse? I don't know. Look at this devil. He's teal. I don't know. I like this style of critters. But you know, so that's what I would want. Someday. I think I answered all of the questions. And I didn't go on too long, so I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for joining on me. Oh God, for joining me on the start of my tarot adventure, and me and the cat wish you a pleasant rest of your day. Bye for now.